Well, I am back, and it is that time again. Another UFC video. UFC 264 is upon us. In just 48 hours at the time of recording this video, we will know if this hard work that Conor McGregor has supposedly been putting in has paid off. Now, without further ado, I need to start getting into these talking points that I have created for this video. Number one, we are going to see a more complete version of Conor. Now, what I mean by that is, I believe that we are going to see a version of Conor that isn't just remnants of the old Conor McGregor and the old, featherweight Conor and all the way up until, Eddie Alvarez Conor or the time of the Nate Diaz and stuff like that. Because that era of Conor really ended in 2016. Well, Conor's, you know what I mean, right? Because there was the whole Khabib thing, but it ended, his real run ended in 2016, and obviously this year is the year where we're going to see if he can really get it back. I believe that we are going to see remnants of I believe we are going to see the lessons that Conor learned from getting submitted by Nate Diaz. And just remember, Nate Diaz is an incredibly good boxer. I know he's got the jiu-jitsu things. I know he can be kind of slow at times, but Nate has incredibly good boxing and jiu-jitsu. And remember, Conor gets submitted, comes back in the second fight, and puts on a masterclass. It's been a while since I've seen that fight, and I think I haven't even seen the full fight, but Conor wins in like a lopsided decision. And if you go over to, say, the Khabib fight, Conor, although he did something amazing and he was the first person to beat Khabib in a round, right? Like, that fight is more significant. The more significant thing about the Khabib fight is that Conor won a round, Conor won a round, not Khabib submitting Conor. Like that, most of Khabib's fights were he finished the guy, whether it be KO or submission. Now Conor is going to learn. Even though that fight was 2.5 years ago, more than 2.5 years ago now, Conor has learned a lot from being out wrestled and then eventually submitted by Khabib. He's learned a lot, and I feel like now he's going to take more of that on into this third fight. Now we get over to the third fight that I believe that Conor is going to learn a lot from, and that's the second fight with Dustin, where it's the calf kicks and he ends up getting knocked out because of Dustin puts Conor's leg on airplane mode, basically, as we know. And what really lies in this trilogy fight that's happening on Saturday is that fuel. Do you remember? I mean, well, let's roll it back here for a second. Maybe some of you have, maybe some of you haven't, but there is a video of Conor crying in the back room after UFC 257, their last fight. We've never seen that from Conor. At least I don't believe so. Like, Conor was cool as a cucumber for the most part when he won against Jose Aldo, and then when he won against Eddie Alvarez. He was just cool, whatever. Yeah, he was yelling in the mic, but he was excited, but he wasn't crying like some people, right? Like Michel Pereira, when in his debut, he's crying as he's going to the octagon, right? Conor was very, very composed for the most part. When he knocks out Alvarez, he just does the Billy walk and saunters off, right? And he's calm, right? In this, he's crying after getting knocked out. You remember when Conor, maybe some of you don't, but you remember when Conor was the top of the world, the 145-pound, king? Remember that? Remember when he wasn't even the champion and he was the 145-pound king? He was just tearing through the division and sleeps Jose Aldo in 13, 14 seconds. You remember that, Conor? And then now fast forward all these years later, by a guy that he knocks out in I think less than 2 minutes. He now just got knocked out by that guy as he came in all confident and everything. And I truly believe that, you know, when Conor says that he went all martial arts and he went all back to the basics, right? Back to this hard work and all the martial arts and getting hungry again. I believe him. Some people are like, no. I believe that we're going to see a more focused Conor. Remember, Conor has come out and said, I was expecting the Manny Pacquiao. He even said that back in January. I was expecting the Manny Pacquiao fight, like before UFC 257. I was expecting the Manny Pacquiao fight. He was like 85% ready for the camp and the fight, and it didn't happen. It didn't end up happening, and he ends up taking the fight with Dustin, right? So although he would have trained some martial arts, he was still in the mindset of boxing. I'm gonna fight Manny Pacquiao. I'm gonna fight Manny Pacquiao, right? And you can even see that to a degree in his stance. And you know, I got to get on to the next point here, but I really do believe that we're gonna see remnants of the old Conor. And I even just watched before turning on the camera here. I watched a little bit of that press conference. It feels a little weird, but it's like if you haven't seen it in a while, and I don't remember seeing it because I just remember hearing about Conor back in the day. I wasn't really into UFC back in the day, but it is to a degree. It's more mature, but it's an older Conor, 32, nearly 33-year-old Conor, but it has the remnants and the aggression as the old featherweight Conor, and even in the lightweight Conor, minus the UFC 257 stuff. But I truly believe that we're going to see something great. Dustin in that press conference, he was a little like, what? Like a little bit of like a deer in the headlights. Yeah, he had his things that he was going to say, but it like, you know, without getting too crazy, I have been in the same position as Dustin where someone's just calling me. I think we all have, where someone's just calling you out in front of a large group of people, and they're just like reaming you out, and they're saying stuff, and you don't really know what to say. And it's going to be an interesting fight. Anyways, number 2, we are going to see a more motivated version of Conor, and then in brackets knocked out. And I kind of blended the two there, but getting knocked out, from what I've heard, is, when you're a fighter, is so motivating, especially when you're at the very top. Even the guys like the James Vicks of the world who you go on a run and then end up getting knocked out and are never the same again, there's still that I need to get back. Even if the psyche is screwed up, you know, your mentality, they still want to get back at it. And I believe Conor can dig within himself to get back. And even if something crazy happens, because this is the fight game, things happen, people get clipped. Remember back UFC 1 something or other, I don't even remember what it was, Silva versus Weidman #1, where Silva's just doing the feint thing, you know, that he still has to this day, as we just saw in his boxing match. And then Silva gets clipped. He gets clipped, goes down. You know, that stuff happens. People get clipped. And honestly, this what has happened in everything. Conor is 1-2 in 155 pounds, and he has 3 fights at 155 pounds in 5 years. That is so crazy. Since November of 2016, he has 5 fights in one division, right? Like, we all have our opinions on that, but it's all leading up, and I think Conor has stayed motivated, has used this fuel, has got back and dug down, and we're going to see something special. Anyways, question 3. Conor, in my opinion, won the first round of their second fight. He did. He did. And there is a MMA website called SureDog.com, I believe is what's called. Yeah, .com, .ca. No, it's .com. And if you look at their, little blog post or whatever about UFC 257, the main event, of course, they say that all three of that website's judges, they're not official judges, scored the first round for Conor. All three of the judges scored it for Conor. And if you go back and the UFC, the official UFC YouTube channel has uploaded that as a free fight. They're the main event for UFC 257, and Conor's getting Dustin with some good punches. And I believe Dustin, back when he went on Joe Rogan back in February, whenever that was, February, maybe March, I can't remember, he says, I think it was during that podcast, Conor, there was a couple times where if Conor got me, and, if he had followed up, I might have been in trouble. If you look at that fight, Dustin got his bell rung a few times. Like, he was, just kind of, like, he recovered and, he ends up winning, but he, for sure, got his bell rung a few times, and even in the second round to a degree. But, like I said, Dustin put Conor's left calf or whatever on airplane mode, and I honestly, I if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for the calf kicks, Conor could have won. I do believe that he could have won, and I think Conor sees how close he was, and he doesn't win. And like I said, more motivation, and I do believe he's going to get the gold come Saturday. Question number 4, and not question, sorry. Talking thing number 4. Conor wants to be remembered as one of the greats. Conor is like 22-5 or something like that. I looked at his record. All of those losses are either by submission or knockout. He has the one knockout, and that's, January, right? And just imagine if you go back to my podcast that I had with my friend Ethan. It's the latest podcast I've done. We talk about this, how Conor goes to win the trilogy fight, and Dana has said numerous times in the last several months, Conor, the winner of this fights for the belt. Conor, say he wins the trilogy, fights for the belt, wins, beats Oliveira, which that would be such a crazy fight, McGregor-Oliveira. Beats Oliveira, because we would see a way more improved version of McGregor as well. And we would see a very interesting Charles Oliveira. But Conor wants to be remembered as one of the greats. Up there with the GSPs, the John Jones, the Demetrius Johnsons, the Henry Cejudos of the world. Who else won the greats? I'm missing a bunch. I mentioned George St. Pierre, Matt Hughes, Anderson Silva. You can ignore the last few years of Anderson's career, because Anderson Silva, and I'm a big Anderson Silva fan, as some of you may know, he is one of the greats. He is. He was hung around for too long, but that does not discredit what he did inside the octagon in any way. It's unfortunate that that was the end of his career, but that 16-fight win streak and all those wins before, man, it's you know what I mean, right? And even like the Stipe Miocic's of the world, he's another one, right? And or the Daniel Cormier's, and all of these guys, right? I don't need to. There's a whole list of them, right? From the Ken Shamrocks and all of these, the Tito well, maybe not Tito, but all of these guys, right? From all throughout the years, Conor wants to be in that list, that Mount Rushmore, if you will, of the greats of all time, right? Conor wants to be there, and I feel like if Conor wins the trilogy, then fights the belt and wins the belt, and then retires, oh my gosh, that would just be so amazing. And then he he does what GSP does, well, like, and then came back a few years later and wins. I don't know if Conor should do that or whatever, but that's for a different video. But like I said, Conor wants to be remembered as one of the greats. And if he, like, imagine like the bounce back story, like goes from the man, moves up, goes 1-2 in 155, then he gets knocked out, goes from 1-1 to 1-2 because he gets knocked out, and then beats the guy again that knocked him out, that he earlier 7 years prior that he knocked out, and then he fights for the belt against a third-degree black belt in jiu-jitsu. Oh my gosh! Imagine if Conor knocked out Charles Oliveira. Craziness, true craziness, right? And I know it's not an unheard thing of Charles Oliveira getting knocked out, but come on, man, that would just be so crazy. And then he has the belt around his waist. Everyone's freaking out. He, says something in his Irishness, and maybe some people don't understand him. Takes off his gloves, drops them, and says, "It's been good. Thanks for the memories. I love you, Ireland," or something. I don't know. And then leaves the sport forever. Oh, that would just be that is a way to go out. If I was a UFC fighter, I'd fight all the way up to the belt, win the belt, and retire. I have no need to defend it. Retire at the top. If I go and defend the belt, I risk losing it, and then I just get like, oh, I need to retire at the win, and then screw up. And they get fight with emotion. That's what happens to Cody Garbrandt. Anyways, doesn't matter. Conor wants to be remembered, and I think that all of the hard work that he's put in within the last 6 months, almost 7 months, is going to pay off come Saturday night. Anyways, you guys tell me, please tell me what you think will happen on Saturday night at UFC 264. Does Conor get a win, or does he lose and heck, maybe even retire, as Michael Bisping says? You tell me. Anyways, everybody, thank you. Please comment. Feel free to subscribe, share with your friends. Anyways, peace out.